Ninjago has been around for over a decade, and for good reason. It's an incredible TV show. However, as it turns out, writing a TV show is hard, and over the years, Ninjago has made some mistakes. Most really aren't a big deal, some are noticeable, and some are really bad. In this video, I'm gonna briefly explain some of the worst Ninjago mistakes of all time. But before we get started, make sure to just click that subscribe button to help us reach 10k. On with the video. There's absolutely no doubt that Crystallized is a massively controversial season, and no, I'm not gonna spend the whole video talking about Crystallized, I already did that. A common critique of Crystallized is that everything just gets tied up so unsatisfyingly into one happy ending. So basically, the whole season has no consequence. However, there is one tiny consequence. At the end, the ninja do have to sacrifice their elemental powers to defeat the Overlord. That's probably the worst sacrifice ever, just because we've seen so many powerless ninja arcs, and come on, we all know the ninja are gonna get their powers back, but nevertheless, it was something, I'll take it. But as it turned out, it was a lot more convenient for the ninja to go into Dragon's Rising with their elemental powers, and so enter Quest for the Lost Powers. The only thing worse than a meaningless sacrifice is undercutting said sacrifice with a random book that no one's probably gonna read. If this was the plan all along, giving the ninja their elemental powers back, then why even have the ninja lose them in the first place? It just feels so shallow and pointless. So you can pretty much understand my thought process going in to read this book. Yes, I did actually decide to read this book, but after I finished this book, I have to say I had a completely different critique. Because you see, the Quest for the Lost Powers was actually good. No, it was really good. It explored so many things that couldn't really be explored in a regular season, like Zane dealing with his brutal reign as the Ice Emperor, and some much needed character development for Kai and Jay and Cole. It's just so disappointing that LEGO couldn't make this book a series of shorts, something similar to the Elemental Mech shorts. This book had some genuinely good moments, I can't lie, that I would have loved to see as maybe 122-minute episodes, or something like that. I feel like they could have just released these shorts maybe like the February or March of 2025, just before Dragon's Rising. It was such a big missed opportunity, especially after the colossal disappointment that was Crystallized. A huge part of Crystallized was the Council of the Crystal King, a concept so predictably awful, and I say predictably because they literally tried the same thing 6 years earlier with Day of the Departed. For Day of the Departed, I can't really blame the writers, at least not completely. In 2016, the Ninjago movie was delayed for an extra year, which forced LEGO to put something out to fill that 1 year gap that the movie was supposed to fill up. Because of that, the special had very little time for production and script revisions, which I understand. I definitely have warmed up to this special over the years, but man, was this such a bad idea. Firstly, it's just cheap nostalgia bait, bringing back all of those villains, but even then, the thought of making this a 45-minute special, I mean, even in Crystallized, which had a whole 330 minutes of screen time, this still wasn't enough time for the villains. The whole purpose of this special is obviously just to turn Cole into a human again. The genuinely sad thing is that they could have made it work. There's two ways I think they should have made Day of the Departed. They should have either made it a full-on season with maybe 6 or 7 episodes, or they should have kept it a special but removed all the stuff with the villains coming back. Out of the villains that come back, only Moral's resurrection was actually meaningful, and his story was handled superbly, so honestly, I think it would have been alright if they just came up with some excuse to bring him back, but not the others. All of the other guys, Chen, Samukai, General Kozu, they all just felt forced, and the whole episode added pretty much nothing to their character. Just a quick note, when this special first released, I didn't really like it, but rewatching it for this video, I was surprised with how watchable this special is. I still think that they would have been much better off using these 45 minutes to tell a better story, and I still feel like this is one of the worst pieces of Ninjago media, but it's not completely irredeemable, so that's something. Cramming Ninjago stories into short time frames never works because the stories are often super complex, and everyone knows trying to squeeze intricate stories only removes time needed for stuff like character development. Well, everyone, that is, except LEGO, because after the fan favorite Oni trilogy, LEGO decided to change things up by having the runtime of each episode to 11 minutes. To make up for this, they did roughly double the number of episodes in each season, so the total screen time was about the same, but not really. You see, a season of Ninjago is this massive story that each episode builds up to, but each episode still has to have its own beginning, middle, and end. The end doesn't have to wrap up the overarching story, but it has to end somehow, whether it be with the big realization, or the ninja embarking on an adventure, or with the ninja somehow getting closer to their final goal. With the regular 10 episode season, this is pretty pretty simple. In episode 1, we learn about the new villain. In episodes like 2 to 7, the ninja learn new things about these bad guys and find new ways to defeat them. Episode 9 usually begins the final battle of the season, and episode 10 ends with the whole resolution. When you have 16 or even 30 episodes, however, things are a bit more complicated. As a result, in the 11-minute era, it feels like there are some episodes where a whole lot happens, and there are a lot of episodes where like nothing happens. The writers have to come up with more subplots to cram into these episodes, and as a result, some of these episodes just feel like they go a little bit off track of the main point of the season. Overall, I'm just so glad that we're back to 22-minute episodes for Dragons Rising. Some 11-minute episodes were fun, but as a whole, they're just kinda mid. I know I've been talking a lot about the show so far, so I'm gonna hard shift to the sets. My biggest complaint with the sets doesn't really even have to do with the sets, it has to do with the minifigures, specifically the Ninjago CMF. What's the problem, you ask? Well, it doesn't exist. Seriously, in Ninjago we have so many cool and awesome characters that just wouldn't fit into a regular Ninjago set. You have people like Cyrus Borg, Twitchy Tim, Gale Gossip. These guys would be so cool to get in like a Ninjago CMF. My problem is that usually these super desirable minifigures are just slotted into the next Ninjago City set, and those are expensive. We used to get stuff like Bricktober packs, which were kind of like CMFs, but now they're gone, and the only way to get these uncommon characters is either by spending $300 on a Ninjago City set or by buying them off Bricklink. I feel like it wouldn't be all that hard for LEGO to make a CMF, and I really wish we do, because Dragons Rising has given us so many cool new designs for characters, and I really would love to get all of them in minifigure form. Out of all of the topics I've talked about in this video, I know that some of you are gonna disagree, and I look forward to reading your comments down below, but this last one I have here is probably the most universally hated Ninjago storyline. I'm talking about the worst triangle of all time, the Season 3 love triangle. Where do I even start? Firstly, I just need to ask, why? What was the reason? It adds pretty much nothing to this season and seriously screws up all of the characters involved. Okay, scratch that, it does make for a pretty awesome fight in season 4, but they could have come up with any other reason for that fight. Jay and Nia's relationship is such a staple of Ninjago, and we all knew Jay was gonna end up with Nia. Why have this unnecessary B-plot with Cole, Nia, and Jay having relationship issues? I feel like Cole just got unnecessarily dragged into this because of Nia. I mean, it wasn't really his fault, and he just seems to be kind of sick of it near the end. This whole arc, Nia just comes off as kind of stupid. I mean, she had a good relationship with Jay. Why let this computer decide her future romantic life? Also, Cole's expression from episode 6 perfectly captures my thoughts on this whole arc. Season 3 is notorious for its bad pacing, so why not take the 30 to 60 minutes that you spent on this arc and put it to better use? Even when Ninjago is bad, it's usually pretty watchable, like Day of the Departed, but watching this for the first time, 6-year-old me had the urge to shut off the TV and gouge my eyes out with a plastic fork. This is seriously next level cringe. I don't know how this managed to make it into the final season. But that's gonna do it for this video. If this video gets to 500 likes, I'll make a part 2 with even more mistakes. But other than that, make sure to like and subscribe. Let me know what you thought of these mistakes down in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one.